Good evening and welcome to another episode of Que-stead-Que. What you gonna do? I don't know, but something's gonna grow. It's the Que-stead show. Well, you guys, excuse my junkie counter, but today is the big day where I make my first ever batch of butter, homemade butter. Now, my butter will be salted, so I have my iodized salt out. That's ingredient number one. And your number two ingredient is heavy whipping cream. That is it, you guys. Those are your ingredients. Excuse me. If you prefer unsalted butter, then you would only need to use the heavy whipping cream to make your butter. In the meantime, I just put Sunday dinner on. I'm making chicken slop, y'all. That's what I named it years ago when I first made it. Shoot, back when I was in college and low on money, one day I decided I bought some chicken thighs, boneless, and then I bought some smoked sausage, and I boiled it together with some onions and garlic and seasoning, and then I added noodles. I didn't add these noodles. These are my German soup noodles. In fact, I bought a new one. Excuse my pantry, y'all. I bought a new one in case this little piece isn't enough. But anyway, let me put that back in there. Anyway, here it is. It's boiling. And I still need to season it. So I'll add some of my pepper powder, some of my onion powder, and a little bit of salt and black pepper. Okay, so this is going to be a two-part video. Although it takes only 20 minutes to get the butter made up, the recipe I decided to go with was one that calls for you, after the butter is made, you separate the buttermilk, of course. I have that ready. My mason jar's ready there with the funnel. After you separate the buttermilk, then you rinse the butter. And it's going to be on that side of the sink. And, oh, you know what? I have a bowl there. I better get that down just in case. Let me get this bowl, y'all. Hold on. Look at me. Have to take the strainer out of it. And my table is a mess again. Okay, so I've got this bowl out just in case, and I'll probably need it. But I'm going to use my strainer to rinse it in ice cold water. Some people pour ice over it. I don't want to do all that. And what you do is you rinse it until the water runs clear. That means you're getting all the extra buttermilk out. And by washing it or rinsing it with the cold water, it helps to solidify the butter and stiffen it. And then after you do that, that's when you add your salt. So one video I saw, the guy added 2 tablespoons of salt, and he said it wasn't salty, too salty. That sounds a little too salty to me. I think I'm going to go with maybe 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And if it's not salty enough, that's okay. I can eat unsalted butter. But I'll at least know that there's some in there to give it flavor. I have my butter molds ready, and I have 2 of the spatulas. I put one away. And I'll just be using one spatula to spatula it in. I have my sister's butter bowl in case there's too much butter. And then I have an extra container on the other side too. Okay, but before we get started with part 1 of making butter, let's go to the back, because first of all, I'm closing off the house. It's only 6:34 and it is already getting dark. It's dark now here in Michigan, or in my city, at 7. There's my buddy. I'm sharing a video later on. It's a short. I call it Fat Boy. Hey, I'm getting a dog. See the little guy? Okay. That guy, that little kid, he's a teen now. When he was, I believe he's about maybe 14 now. But as a little kid, because I've been here 3 years, he weighed at least 300 pounds. His parents bought him a dog, and that boy lost all that weight. He's lost at least 100 pounds, I know. And so I did a short of him earlier. It didn't capture his face or anything. I just wanted to explain about me wanting a dog now, because when his parents bought him that dog, he walked that dog faithfully every day, twice a day. I would see him out there walking him just to walk him. I mean, they would let the dog out and all that, I guess, in the backyard. But he walked that dog, and that boy lost that weight. Boy, I hate how dark it is, and my backyard looks a hot mess. So I will be getting it mowed on Monday to mulch up those leaves that are in the grass. They're not through falling yet, but they're almost there. We are at peak. You can see some of the leaves changing out there. But they haven't finished falling yet. But the ones that fall in my yard come from these trees right above me. And so they've kind of changed over. So they're falling now. So I'll still have blowing to do, but I'm going to do that final cut probably Monday. And I might go over it one more time if the leaves are too bad. Otherwise, I'll just let the leaves stay and compost down, and then get them raked in the spring. Porch looking horrible. And I just blew these leaves a few days ago, believe it or not. But that's how fast they're falling now. So I'm just going to, in fact, I may not even cut yet. I may just wait until they finish falling. They'll be through falling. I wrote the date down 2 years straight. The leaves will be finished for me on the patio, the deck, and the grass. A few might fall, a few more might fall, but not too many more, usually by the 11th of November. And that's usually when I do my final cut. So I'm not going to wait that long. So I'll have 2 more cuts to go. Okay, let's get this door closed and get the grow light on for my sister's cotton. I'm wasting time, y'all. Okay, let's get the grow light on. And I was going to tell you, I used 2 grow lights, and I will honestly say the grow lights have never affected my electric bill at all, period. It runs about the same, unless they just go up on the price. But anyway, here's my sister's cotton. It did well overnight. It got the sun today, all day. It'll get the daylight hours tomorrow. I will turn this off at about 10 o'clock. And I see a leaf back there I need to take off. My onions are here. Those are going to get planted out this week. I have my peppers, my peppercorns in soak. 2 are non-viable. The 2 that are floating at the top are non-viable. They're halfway through. You're to soak them 24 hours before planting out your seeds. And the instructions say that the peppercorns, if they float to the top, they are non-viable. If they stay at the bottom, then they are viable and they should germinate. So 3 out of 5 isn't bad. And I have 5 more in there. But we still have another 12 hours to go. Tomorrow afternoon, I will be planting them, and I will film when I sow these pepper seeds. So as long as no more float to the top, we're looking at 3 pepper plants. Okay, now let's go to the garden. Here we go. And I am going to close the blind tonight. First of all, I went on and got this filled with the soil. And the reason that I did that is I didn't want to spill soil. First of all, I read the instructions wrong. I thought that it said 50 quarts of soil to fill one of these. It only took 1/3 of it. So as you can see, I have enough soil left over to fill the other 2 in the spring. Whoop-de-doo. I'm happy about that. I don't have to buy any more soil for these, for the self-watering containers. Okay, what I did was I mixed in the compost, the black cow manure compost. I dug my trench for the fertilizers, which I will film tomorrow when I fertilize initially. And I added sand just in case there are fungus gnat eggs. I didn't see any fungus gnats. I didn't see any bugs, especially in the black cow manure. That was the main thing because that had been in the greenhouse, but the bag had been closed. So therefore, I said just to be on the safe side. And we don't know about this potting mix either. Lots of times there's fungus gnats and you get those little gnats flying around. And I don't want them starting not with this big thing because I have all winter to get through and I don't want the fungus gnats flying around. And that sand works. I used it last year and I didn't have not one fungus gnat in here when I started my seeds. And so here's my sand. I still have a little left, and for good measure, I'm going to get some more because it's good to amend your soil with the sand, but just in case, it's okay to add a little more sand throughout the season or whatever if you do start seeing fungus gnats. You never know. Some could be hiding. I sanded up that arugula too because I thought, oops, it might be some, in that. And I had sanded this up before I brought it in, and this has been in now for about 2 weeks. Okay, I decided I'm going to do an experiment. This is that first onion butt that I started, and since it has taken off, guess what? It's getting planted in here. I just want to see what it does. I'm going to plant it in one of the corners there just to see what it does. I'm going to give it its own little spot, and then everything else will be planted. After I put the fertilizers, which consist of bone meal, blood meal, chicken manure. I have perlite for drainage, and I have, bone meal, blood meal, chicken manure, perlite, and I have worm castings. That's in the other room. I cut my cup because after I do that initial fertilization, I will not be adding any more granular fertilizer. You can't put liquid in it in these tables, but it says granular only. But I want it to be as organic as possible. So yeah, initially I'll do the granular. I'll follow their instructions. But after that, this cup will be buried. When I put the trench back, I'm going to bury the cup up to here, and I will be putting food scraps in the cup, and that will be how I will be fertilizing this garden bed each and every winter. It's going to be a keyhole garden because it's the exact same concept, because the instructions said that anytime you want to fertilize, you do not put the fertilizer around the plants at all. What you do is you dig a trench in the middle, which means you have to leave space to do that in case you have plants and roots and stuff. And then that's how you add your fertilizer. Well, I'm skipping that because it's the exact same concept of the keyhole garden. So by me putting the food scraps in the middle, first of all, I can cover all this up and put more plants around it. The closer I get plants to the cup, the better fertilization they will get. This is my watering chute. Remember I was telling you about it? It's in there nice and tight. Whenever the soil feels like it needs watering, I will just pour a cup of water down the chute. I do have drainage holes, but they are closed. And I have this, this thing over here just in case some water leaks out, but I won't be putting that much in. It'll be just enough to moisten the soil. The corners, I made sure they were sopping wet. And that water, I could see that water coming right to the middle and going across the soil. This soil is actually moist, just from those 4 corners that I pre-moistened beforehand. And so when I water it tomorrow, it'll get a cup of water, and I probably won't have to water it again for another week or so, or whenever I feel the plants need watering. And I can judge that by the onion, the basil, and the arugula that will be in there. And so I'm going to plant the spinach. I decided to go with the Covert. I'm going to plant the lettuce mix. And I don't know, I pulled that kohlrabi back out, but because I'm going to do that onion, let's put this kohlrabi right back over here. I won't be planting that. I brought in my plant that refuses to die. As you can see, it's lost all of its chlorophyll, but it looks like it's greening up already since I brought it in. I gave it a little haircut. I cut the dead leaves off, and then I discovered more new growth. So this will take off again during the winter. And I'm not going to put it out next year in the greenhouse. That was just too much for that plant, but it didn't kill it. So I'm going to get it back full again. I'm going to repot it since I have that extra potting mix. I'm going to put it in a bigger pot, and it will stay either in this room or I'll put it into the back room. What is that noise? Oh, I know what that is. The food, okay? All right, so let me cut this fire down. I just wanted it to get hot. So now it's boiling over. Okay, because, you know, chicken thighs don't take that long to cook. And I have the smoked sausage in there, the onion and the garlic. I just need to season it. Okay, let's get started, y'all. I don't know how many minutes I've been on here, but let me get this camera turned around and adjust it. And we're going to do part 1 of this video. I'm going to move this bowl. Let's do part 1. And it's going to take 20 minutes to mix this. I'm going to let the camera down a little bit. It's going to take 20 minutes to mix this. And then I'm going to end the video at that point. And once I end the video at that point, oh Lord, we've been on 15 minutes already. Doggone it. Sorry, y'all. But anyway, once we end the video, then I will come back. I'm going to do the washing because I explained that part to you. So I'll wash it until it's clear and it turns into butter. And then when I return, then we will be putting the butter in the butter molds. So I'm going to get my hands washed. Let me do that right now since I've been touching everything. I got dishwater here too, but I'm using the opposite side of the sink for when I wash the butter. Okay. Alrighty, hands are washed, although I'm not touching anything, but you know, it's always good. You know, that's good practice. Let's open up the whipping cream. I'm not gonna shake it, but just mix it in real good. And me, anytime I open any milk product, I smell it first just to make sure, although the date on here is December 10th. Nice and fresh. Okay, so now we're pouring it into the kitchen-made mixer. Oh, let me let the camera down. Y'all don't want to look at me, huh? Let me, and I hope it doesn't stop, y'all. I should have adjusted this before I came in here. Let's see. If it cuts off, then I'll come back. Then we'll have 3 parts. Okay, so far so good. Okay, there we are. We're right on the bowl. Okay, it didn't stop. Okay, let's finish pouring this in. And I'm using the whole carton. Okay, and you mix it on low. And what's going to happen is, and I'm gonna stay on the whole time this is mixing, so you're going to hear the noise and all that. And I'm sorry. This isn't as loud as the processor, though, so at least. Hold on, let me throw this away. Okay, so to explain things, once I start mixing, it's going to mix for about 20 minutes. The first thing you're going to see it's going to turn into like a Cool Whip. It'll turn into a fluffy cream, and you can stop it there and make your own Cool Whip. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to separate the butter, what they call the buttermilk, from the butter itself. It's going to start to curdle. Then it's going to get smooth, and all you're going to have is buttermilk, and then you'll have the butter there. And so you all will see that whole process. And I hope you have to do it on low, and my hope is that it doesn't splatter. We'll see what happens. Let's go. Oh, okay, it's not going to splatter. Okay, I am now making the butter. So while we're waiting on that, actually, you know what, y'all? I should have started that before I did the garden tour and all that. Now, I'm not sure yet. It depends on how much butter I get and how many, you know, how I have to do the trays. If there's any left for that third tray, then I'm going to make some vanilla butter. If not, it's just going to be plain butter for my first time. I have this here. And let me get that bowl. Okay, it is 6:50. So at 7:10, this should be ready. I can see where it's already starting to cream up a little bit. I'm too scared to touch the camera because I could zoom it in, but I think you guys can see it pretty good. At least that's what I'm hoping. My trusty KitchenAid. So, and you know what? I got this KitchenAid mixer. This is an old one. I don't know what year it is. I got it at Value World, my favorite store, back in 2018, I believe. It was either 2018 or 2019. Oh yeah, it's already starting to whip up. But anyway, they had it at Value World a few days before, and they had it marked at $75. And I thought, I'm not paying $75 for a mixer this old. But then I had always wanted a KitchenAid mixer, and I had prayed for one, right? Anyway, they decided to do a 50% off sale because it was in the month of November, right after, it was either a few days before or a few days after Thanksgiving. It wasn't right after, it wasn't on Black Friday, but it was like, I think it was a few days after. Shoot, they came to take my mom to dialysis, and I made a pit stop to Value World praying that that mixer was still there, because at 50% off, that took it from $75. I think I paid, let's see, 32. I forget, but anyway, it was half off of $75. And so that's what I ended up paying for this mixer. And so it was dirty, it was nasty, and when I got there and told the lady, oh, the mixer, it was still there, I was like, let me get that mixer right now. She was like, are you sure? I said, if it works, I'm getting it. And so she was like, this is the 6th time where I've had to lift this heavy mixer, so that's why I asked you that. I was like, I promise you, if it works. She said, oh, it works. She was like, I've tested it a million times. I think the reason why others didn't buy it was because it looked a hot mess. It had cake, it had cake on it. It was just nasty. I brought this thing home. I took the band off that says KitchenAid. I took apart most of this mixer as much as I could without ruining it. And I cleaned it real good. I cleaned it up. In fact, I was on Facebook and I did a video of it. And I made it look like new. And this thing has worked. It runs like a sewing machine. It works very well. So instead of paying, what, $4.50, I think KitchenAid mixers, last I saw last year at Best Buy, I think for the mixer itself, it was like $450. Now they do go on sale from time to time, but the sale don't be that great. You still gonna pay a few hundred, and they last forever. I rather the older one now than the newer ones, because the older ones are made to last a lifetime. My uncle's ex-wife, my aunt, I still call her my aunt, she said that she has one from the 60s that still run like it ran when she first got it, and she's never bought another one. And she said it's a KitchenAid stand-up mixer from the 60s. Then I have a cousin, my cousin Cheryl, that you saw on the Que-stead-Que singing video. She said if you see another one, because she had been wanting a KitchenAid mixer, she said if you see another one, she said let me know. About a month later, there was another one there, another KitchenAid, an older one like this one. And so I called her from Value World. I was like, Cheryl, you want me to get it? I said, they want $75 for it. I said, but I can get it for you. And I said, I can guarantee you're not going to regret the purchase, and you're saving a few $100s. And so I left her a message because she didn't answer. She was gone. She didn't call me back for about 4 or 5 hours. It was dark. It was like maybe 8 o'clock at night, an hour before Value World closed, when she called me back. And she was like, you think that mixer's still there? I said, I hope so. She was like, yes, I want it. I was like, I'm getting ready to go now. And I don't drive at night, y'all, because I can't see. But because I live so close to Value World, I was like, okay, I can feel my way there. So, because it's a straight shot, basically, once I make one turn. So I drove to Value World, went in there, that mixer was still there. I had the lady to plug it in. I called Cheryl while I was in Value World. I was like, okay, Cheryl, I'm going to have her to plug it in. And so Cheryl listened while I did that. I had on speakerphone, and the mixer worked. And so Cheryl said, get it. So I paid for it, and Cheryl gave me the money back that next day when she came out to pick it up. And so what I did, I got it home, and I told her, I'll clean it up for you. Hers wasn't as bad as mine at all. It didn't take much at all. I just made sure I sterilized it good, the bowl. You know, I took it apart like I did mine just to make sure, and I cleaned it up for her. And she came that next afternoon to pick up her mixer, and she's been making biscuits ever since. She says she likes to make homemade biscuits, and she loves that mixer. So I'm glad I was able to bless her. I've seen a few more there since then, but no one else has expressed an interest of getting an older used KitchenAid mixer. Okay, this is starting to thicken up really nice, you guys. It's been going now for 6 minutes. Yeah, it looks nice and thick. So I'm just waiting on it to whip up. I guess I could turn the thing up, but the directions said to run it on low, so I'm gonna run it on low. And I wish I knew how to edit, you guys. That's the reason why this video is going so long. I do not know how to edit. I've tried some edit apps. I've tried it, can't get the concept of it. People have tried to teach me. It would have to take someone to be, I'm a visual learner and a hands-on learner. So it would have to be someone right here beside me, walking me through step by step for me to learn it. That's just, it is what it is. That's how it is with me. I've always been a very hands-on learner. And once I get it, I get it. But right now, I can't even get it figured out. It can give me all the directions in the world and tell me step by step what to do. But if I'm not, doing it hands-on with someone right there, I just can't get it. So I don't edit as a result. That's why my videos are all over the place. But y'all stick around, so hey. Everybody tell me I'm bubbly and fun and all that. So, and the way you see me on these videos, if you were standing right here with me, I'm the exact same way. Most people tell me when they meet me for the first time, my goodness, you sound just like you do on videos or on the phone or whatever. If we haven't met. One of my good friends from Facebook, she called me when I was in the hospital. She lives in Canada. And when I answered and said, hey, she was like, you are just like you are on Facebook. She was like, when I read your post, I was like, what you see is what you get. I don't put on any airs. I'm the same at all times. That's the only way to be. That's why I've always hated the term, I'm real, I'm this, I'm that. Half the people don't even know what real means. My thing is, be yourself. And people either like you or they don't. If you don't like me, move on. I don't mind. I'd rather know that you don't like me than for you to pretend that you do. And most people don't pretend, I would assume. But I usually have that discernment. I can tell if somebody don't like me, or if I don't like somebody, I run, okay? And it's rare that I don't like someone, very rare. I give everybody a chance. I don't care what anyone else has said. They're going to get a chance with me. Okay. So, we're still going. It's starting to, I don't know if you can see how it's starting to curdle. It hasn't whipped yet. Maybe I should turn it up. I don't know. Because it's been 10 minutes now. And this is supposed to be done in 20. I don't know. Let's try it one more notch and see what happens. Okay. I took it up a notch. Because I think it was folding. Yeah, it was on fold. 1 is fold. And then 2 is mixed. And then you got 3 and 4 and all that. It goes up to 10. Okay, so I put it on 2. So this is actually mixing. So I'm going to leave it there. It's not going too fast and it's not going too slow. And it's not splashing. And this is Meyer milk, y'all. It's not name brand, so. But I do see it, you know, it's starting to curdle up and whatnot, so I'm assuming it's buttering or whatever. But everybody else's, it's like in 10 minutes. But then they're stopping and starting too, so you really don't know the true amount of time that it took. You know, when they're editing, they'll say, well, it only took me 20 minutes or it only took me 10 minutes. So, but you don't know if it actually took that long or not. I know one thing, this isn't getting stopped until I see some butter in there, okay? So right now, we're nowhere near. But I do see it starting to metamorphosize. Okay, we're at 30 minutes, so I don't want this to go too long. I'm gonna let this keep mixing. I'm gonna leave, and I'm gonna come back on once it turns into butter or it gets close to turning into butter, because it hasn't even turned into Cool Whip yet, y'all. So I know this is gonna take me longer than any 20 minutes because it's gonna mix until it's ready. So I'm gonna come back once it turns into the curdles. Then I will come back because I'll know that the next step is when it'll turn into butter. So that'll be part 2. When it starts turning into butter, we'll get it into butter, and then I'll stop it again, and then I'll get the butter washed, and then I'll come back for the third part once I'm ready to put the butter into the molds. That way you all can decide what parts you want to watch, because you know what's going to happen. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later, and I will be back once I have butter, or once it begins to curdle. And it's starting to turn into Cool Whip now. I can see that. I shall return. And may God bless you all. Bye-bye.